Welcome to You Are Your Own Hero. I am Dr. Tassel Faith Shamebrook, and just the warmest welcome to you, dear hero, for joining us. And today we are talking about how to choose yourself. And to be honest, I was feeling a little uncomfortable about the title of this video, How to Choose Yourself. So clearly, this is something that I am still working on. I had some discomfort about feeling selfish. Is it selfish to choose yourself? So I'm really, really passionate about talking about this topic because it's something that I am still working on. And it's something that I've really been challenged with throughout my lifetime. And the truth is, when I do choose myself, uh, everything works out wonderfully for me and for all those connected to me. So this is such an important and valuable expansion for all of us. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 key practices that have really assisted me in choosing myself over, particularly, I would say, the past 10 years. And I'm also going to give you some real life examples from my own experiences of choosing myself and how I really put these practices into play. And I also really love the idea of crossroad moments. These moments in our life experiences where we can choose ourselves, and it really dramatically, profoundly changes the course of our lives and of our families' lives. And truly, every moment in your life is a crossroads moment. Every moment you can choose yourself and really change the course of your life. Okay, so first of all, these 3 key practices to enable us to continually choose ourselves. The first practice is in all matters, in all decisions, in all crossroad moments, tune into your heart. Tune into your dreams. Tune into what you feel is truly the highest and best path for you. This is your soul's calling to you. This is your alignment when we tune in this way. Second practice is let go of the thinking mind, the human mind, the egoic mind's agenda for your life. The thinking mind generally is interested in security, safety, knowingness, having a clear plan. And it's really helpful just to let go of all of that, as well as all of the stories, all of the programming, and all of the fears of the thinking mind. So these can include orientations such as one must really pay attention to other people's opinions of them. One must sacrifice for others. One must play it safe. One must settle. And one must really make practical decisions instead of really following the heart. And then the third practice that has really helped me is to really understand and embrace and really embody the truth that when you tune into your heart, when you tune into your dreams, and when you tune into your highest and best alignment, this will always be the absolute highest and best path for you and everyone connected to you. Even though in the short term, in the short run, there may be some challenges, but in the long run, in the long term, it will always be the highest and best outcome for you and all who are connected to you. Okay, so those are the 3 key practices about choosing yourself. And now I'm just going to give you a few real life examples where I was able to put these practices into place and choose myself, and it absolutely changed the course of my life and also my children's lives, and ended up turning out wonderfully for everyone involved in the end. Okay, so the first example is around my marriage. So I was married for about 11 years to a really good man. But we had a lot of trouble in our marriage. And both of us were really, I think, staying together for our children because it's very hard to share custody of one's children. It is very challenging. So both of us, I believe, were really staying together in order to keep our family together. And over time, I really just became more and more depressed. I would say more and more hopeless about my life. I even actually developed breast cancer in my body. And what happened was it was really my dream to move to Tennessee, where we all do live now. And so about 7 years ago, we moved to Tennessee together. And then it was also my idea to buy a 13-acre piece of land where I wanted to have basically a retreat center. This was also my idea. So the very night that we closed on this 13-acre farm, I was standing in the doorway to the master bedroom, and I had an experience where I saw my life flash before my eyes. I saw what the next decades of my life would look like if I was choosing to stay in this marriage. And as I was seeing these visions, I also saw a black shroud descend over my body. And the meaning of this seemed very clear to me. It seemed to signify death. And at that point, I wasn't sure if it meant my physical death, maybe from the breast cancer, or if it meant some type of psychic death, the depression that I had really been feeling. So this was a huge crossroads moment for me. There I was. I had basically asked my former spouse to move to Tennessee. It was my idea. I'd also asked my former spouse to together, let's buy this 13-acre farm. And here we were on the night where we had just closed on the farm. And I am getting very clear guidance that I can no longer stay in this marriage. So, huge crossroads moment for me. Would I choose myself? Or would I choose trying to be what I thought I needed to be for other people? And it was really one of the hardest, it may have been the hardest thing I've ever done, to the next day tell my former spouse, my husband at the time, that I could no longer stay in the marriage. This is what I told him. And I knew in that moment that in some ways I was really breaking his heart. I was really breaking the hearts of our 3 children. In that moment is what it felt like. And so this was extremely difficult for me, extremely difficult for me to make this decision. a decision that I knew, at least in that moment, was not what my husband wanted or my three children wanted. So this was a huge crossroads moment for me where I did choose myself. And what has actually happened is that everyone is okay. In fact, I would say everyone is better than ever at this point in time, 6 years out from this. We all are fine. And my breast cancer disappeared. I am living, I would say, my dream life. I would say our three children are also living their dream life. And I would say my ex-spouse is in many ways also living his dream life. So these three practices that I talked about in the beginning are what enabled me to make this very difficult choice to choose myself. So first of all, I tuned in to myself, right? I had this metaphysical experience of seeing my life flash before my eyes, seeing a black shroud, and I really took it seriously. I really paid attention. So I was following what I could tell was the highest and best path for myself. Secondly, I let go of my thinking mind's ideas about the situation. So as I said, my thinking mind had a lot of thoughts about, I'm breaking everyone's heart here. My husband's heart, my three children's heart. I could have continued in a mode of I need to sacrifice for my family. I need to do a practical thing here and just stay for the kids. But again, I let go of that thinking. I let go of that thinking and I followed what was in my heart and what was in my guidance. And then thirdly, what really helped me was I did have a sense within me in that crossroad moment that by making this truthful decision, by being in the truth that the marriage was not working, it wasn't serving us, that it would be the best decision in the end for me, my former spouse, and my children, and that all would work out better than we had ever expected. And that is exactly what has happened. Okay, so that's example number one. Now I'm going to give just a couple more examples to really further flesh this out. Okay, so example number two is, this is related to the divorce situation. After I did separate from my ex-spouse, I really had a dream to move to Nashville, where I do live now. At this point in time, I was living in Franklin, which is a small town, excuse me, about 25 minutes outside of Nashville. And to my thinking mind, this was a very difficult choice because of my children and also my former spouse. I didn't know how he would react to this. And it would mean that I would be moving my children out of their school into a new school in Nashville. And so again, this was very difficult. Again, this was a huge crossroad moment for me. Would I choose myself? Would I choose what felt to be the highest and best alignment? And I did. I did choose that path, and it was very challenging to tell my children, yes, we are moving. And yes, that also means we are switching schools. And it was very difficult for them in the beginning. But amazingly, what has happened at this point in time, my children are going to schools that there couldn't be a better fit for them. It's just amazing how it turned out attending schools up here in Nashville. Just for instance, my 13-year-old daughter is going to start next August at the Nashville School of the Arts, which is just so perfect for her as she follows her precious dream of being an actress. So again, I followed these 3 practices about choosing myself. So number 1, I really tuned in to my heart. I really tuned into my dreams. I really tuned in to what felt like the highest and best path, and that was to move to Nashville. And number 2, I let go of my thinking mind's ideas of, well, I can't do this to my kids. I should sacrifice for them. I should stay in Franklin. It's more practical. And then thirdly, again, I really understood that if I stayed in my truth, if I stayed with the dream, that it would serve all. It would serve myself and it would serve my children. And that's exactly what has happened. It has turned out better than I ever could have expected for myself and for my children. Quite magical when we really choose ourselves, and when we let go of the thinking mind stories and fears and programs, and we really live in the faith that staying in our highest and best alignment will always serve ourselves and others. Okay, so I'm going to give one more example here. And this is before my divorce. This is around me choosing to go back to school at 42 years old to get my PhD. So I had a dream my entire life of getting a PhD. My dad was a professor for many years. He has a PhD, and I just always thought I was going to follow in my dad's footsteps. I too wanted to be a doctor, to have a PhD, and to serve in that way. I found myself in my early 40s, still not having pursued this dream. I had really allowed myself to be influenced by other people's agendas for my life, including what I studied in college and lots of other things. But it's my own responsibility. So this was very, very painful. And what happened was I ended up spending some time with an acquaintance who was a doctor, and she was about my age, and so much envy and jealousy and frustration with myself was arising. And this was really, really, really uncomfortable, but I felt into all of that. And on the other side of all of that was inspiration. It was inspiration to follow my dream. Please, let's follow the dream now. And there were so many practical issues around me going back to school to get a PhD in my early 40s, including at that time, I was the stay-at-home mom to 3 very young children. I think they were all about 5 and under at this point. In addition, my marriage was really tricky and felt, I would say, somewhat unstable. There was also the cost. It was going to be very expensive for me to go back to school for 7 years or so to get my PhD. And and just the time. How would I make time to pursue a PhD full time? So what happened was I did follow my heart. I did tune into my dreams, and I went ahead and I went forward, and I did get my PhD, and it all worked out. And again, I followed these 3 practices of choosing myself. I tuned into my heart. I let go of my thinking mind's fears and stories and programming, worrying about the cost, worrying about how would I balance all of it with my children, all the worries. I just let go of all of that. And I let the universe come in to help me, and it did. And then thirdly, again, I understood that by making this choice for myself to follow my own dreams and my alignment, that it would serve me and it would serve everyone connected to me, including my children. And it has. It absolutely has. So these moments in our lives, these crossroad moments where we can choose ourselves, really, really change the course of our lives. And these three practices that we've talked about, tuning into yourself, tuning into your dreams, tuning into your highest and best alignment, letting go of the thinking mind stories, fears, programmings, and agendas, and understanding this choice you are making to choose yourself will always serve you and will always ultimately serve everyone connected to you. I think these three practices can really help us in making sometimes the difficult decision to choose oneself. So thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, please subscribe to my channel, and please also check out the information in the video description of the amazing You Are Your Own Hero Patreon community that we have, where we support each other in really being our own heroes, including this practice of choosing yourself. Thank you so much.